Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel again. Today I'm going to show you how to use very simple models from Hugging Face to complete different natural language processing tasks. So basically I'm going to use the free models hosted in Hugging Face, which supports the pipeline method for us to use the different models in different tasks. If you have seen my previous tests about Hugging Face models before, you might find the previous versions either oversimplified or the pipeline was not designed very well, or the workflow is not designed very well. But in this version, I'm going to simplify just to make sure that each part of the code can be run independently so you can integrate them to your workflow or to your task more easily. Now let's go to the code. So first of all, we need to install the dependencies. The most important package is a transformer package, but of course if you want to add additional dependencies here, okay, you can integrate different packages to the workflow. But here I'm going to show you the very straightforward way to play with the models. So about text generation, you see I have chosen the distilled GPT-2 model and also this GPT-Neo 125 model. So it is very easy. We just load the pipeline and mention what is the task we are going to deal with and which model we're choosing. And we're going to set up the initial prompt. You can set a sentence, a paragraph, as long as you do not go over the context window. And you can generate this text by incorporating this pipeline to your initial prompt, mentioning about the max length of the output and also the number of return sequence. And you can see there are two results that I put here. Of course, because these models are very simplified, some of the answers are not making much sense, right? For example, this one, the first one is to write some fairy tale story, but you can see the second sentence does not go very well. The second one is about discovery of artificial intelligence. This is the AI community has been growing in numbers and sophistication. It makes a bit of sense, right? So you need to test to understand if the model is working well. But of course, it cannot match to the very complicated, very big models like the GPT-4 or the Claude models, right? Then, if you want to further test, you can change the max output length. As you can see here, if you change it to a longer length, you're going to get more results. But some models may not give you what you want, like this one. Like the second model, it kind of repeats the information again and again, right? And this is about text generation. The pipeline is very straightforward. And of course, you can also fine-tune the model to with your own datasets. But please remember, because the simpler model, they have less parameters, so they cannot deal with very advanced task or to achieve very useful results like the big models. Now let's take a look at the text summarization. So the pipeline utilization is similar for all the different tasks. The important thing is that you need to make sure your understanding of the input and output are clear so you can choose the different model. Like this one, we just put a paragraph of text here and we're using different models to summarize it. Of course, about the summarized results, we need to have the max length, minimum length, these kind of parameters to control the output. And also there are some additional parameters like a do sample. Now I choose it to be false. Of course, you can also try the other options. Now let's see how it goes. So this text is about artificial intelligence, a description of the artificial intelligence, and mention the different aspects, some description text. And you can see here, we have the first one, from self-driving cars to virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa, AI is reshaping industries and daily life. Well, makes sense, right? Despite its potential, AI raises concerns, including ethical dilemmas like privacy invasion and biases in algorithm. And the second one does not seem to close the sentence in the end. but it makes some sense because the general description is okay. Okay, so these models are very small. This is the advantage. You can fit into a local machine very easily, or just run it in Colab, right? Without running out of the RAM, or necessarily incorporate a GPU to run it. But the results you need to distinguish and do different tests, and even you can incorporate different evaluation to see if the different results are matching your criteria. Let's check the entity identification part. So entity identification is also a very important task when you are dealing with language processing. So we are using this text paragraph as our base to analyze. As you can see here, there is Bert Logic cased, fine-tuned. It's a very long name, right? If you want to see its detailed description, you can go to Hugging Face to check this model. And also the Bert base NER. These two models, and we can see it actually identified some of the entities, right? Like United Nations, but it actually separated these two words. Okay, but it marked them as international organization. Okay, and also AI is identified. Although for me, it's not an entity, but it has some criteria to mark it. But some things like this one does not make much sense, right? Let's see the next model. So in this model, we can see, okay, there's California. Yeah, it can be considered as entity, Google, and AI, or identified, like Open AI, right? But it also separated token, which is not very clear to me, to be honest. But from this task, you can see that some of the entities are identified. But if the entity range is too broad for you, you can specify which kind of entity you want to identify, right? You can either fine-tune the model, or you can change some parameters during the pipeline and to make sure that the result is really useful for you. Okay, now let's go to the next topic. It's called mask token generation. As you can see here, I'm taking one sentence as my base of analysis, and I'm going to mask the tokens after the first token, and I'm going to ask the model to generate token after token. Because whenever you interact with these models, as you can see here, it will generate the text based on your requirements with a fixed max length. But here we want to see a progressive generation of the text. We need to do a manual engineering of the process. So as you can see here, the generate sequence is going to handle and interact with the model token after token. And eventually, we're going to generate the sequence and print out. As you can see, this is the result of the two models. And after each step, we're going to see one additional token. And in the end, we are going to see the whole sentence. And eventually, we can also compare the original sentence and the generated sentence. The original sentence is artificial intelligence is revolutionizing industries worldwide. The first one, artificial intelligence software development tools. The second one says artificial intelligence, Springer, and does not make much sense, right? One thing you need to bear in mind is that this kind of process simulation is outside of the model. So it is not in the same place as a model where it utilizes the attention mechanism or different mechanism to generate text, right? It is outside of the model. But it could be useful if you want to do some manipulation outside of the model. Then let's see this task about the mask token generation with longer non-mask parts. Okay, so in this example, I'm just expanding the example to longer text sample. As you can see here, now I'm going to mask the second and the third sentence and keep the first sentence here. The basic structure does not change much, so we are going to see the results. As you can see, the first one starts predicting, but this word I'm not sure if it is Japanese or some other language, so I cannot recognize. Okay, eventually it's like a random results, right? Let's see the second one. Artificial intelligence is transforming industry worldwide, and the major research area in research are in effect the Human Genome Project worldwide. Well, at least this result is better than the previous one. although it does not make much sense, right? So this example is just to telling you when you do some alteration, you can see different results, okay? And see different manipulation of the natural language processing task. The next one we're going to see here is about text to voice or text to audio file. So the first test is about transforming these two sentences to audio file. We're going to use the speech T5 model and also the TTS model. Both are available in Hugging Face. But one thing you need to understand is for the speech generation task, you need to have a processor, model, and vocoder, three parts predefined before you go into the workflow, right? And here we're going to prepare the text, get the embedding, if any. If there's no embedding, we're just going to put a placeholder here. And going to use the model to generate the speech and write this file in the environment. And let's see the results. I'm not sure if you can hear it from my recording. In case you cannot hear it, you can try to run the code by yourself and check it. So basically, this is a very fuzzy sound. It's not very clear. Okay, but in general, you can identify what it is saying about. Okay, so we have all these audio files generated. Okay, now let's go to the next task. It's about translation. About translation, one thing I want to say is in a broader range of translation tasks, you do not necessarily always need to use a very old model because some small models can already do a very good job. Like these models I chose here. One is Helsinki NLP, one is Facebook model, and let's see how it goes. So I'm translating this English sentence. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries worldwide. It translates to Italian. Intelligenza artificiale sta trasformando le industrie in tutto il mondo. So both translations are good and acceptable. Of course, you can increase the tokens of your text piece and try the different translation task. Here I want to mention these models again because I already shared with you in the previous videos. Here I want to emphasize that machine translation task has been going through many years of research. So if you have a very specific task that you want to do or not a very complicated translation task, you can use the small models. You just try it and see if that meets your demands in the use case. The last one I always like to test and play with is about sentiment analysis. So the first model is Distilbert. I use this model for different natural language tasks. In the future, I'm going to share with you when I finished all the parts. Then also the BERT-based sentiment analysis model. It is going to give you a different result. Okay, and also we have some workflow here to actually analyze the sentences one by one. And also we are going to print out, for example, like the confidence score to let you know how confident is the model about the results. So like here, for the first model, we have three examples. The first one, it says is positive. Yeah, I think it's right. The second one is negative. Both confidence is 100%. I think the model is very confident about results. Then the last one, acceptable but nothing extraordinary. I think it's neutral, right? But it tagged as negative. So we have two right answer, one wrong answer. Then we see the second model. The first one, it gave 5 stars, right? Positive, okay. 1 star is negative, okay. 3 star is neutral. I would say it's close, right? But the confidence score is not like the first model, very confident, because like the last one is not very sure. Is around 63% of the confidence. I think it is neutral. I agree. So here is also the summary. You can see for the first two examples, I think both of the models predicted the sentiment correctly, but the last one, two models have quite different results. So to do sentiment analysis, there are so many ways. You can also use a different technique from the very basic machine learning techniques, right? But if you use this kind of model, If you have additional dataset, you can fine-tune the model, or you can test on your dataset to see if it works well. So I'm going to conclude here. I wish you like this video. If you like my channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you like my video, feel free to share it and give it a like. Leave any comments you like. I really enjoy discussing with you about any issues of the project and any ideas, any concepts about machine learning, AI, trading, coding, and so on. So I wish you a good weekend and see you next time. Bye bye.